Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Tuesday, September 5th, 2017. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what happened today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin was down only 0.5%, rebounding to 42.80, with a last of 43.21 as a high and a low of 40.12. As you know, China banned ICOs, and NBC got to trot out their favorite word for regulation, crackdown. As you know, the stock market was cracked down when they regulated it. Other things have been cracked down and banned. You know how the media loves sensationalism. Of course, there's also 10 other things banned in China, such as Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, gambling, green eggs and ham, although the ban was lifted after Dr. Seuss's death. Not sure why. Alice in Wonderland. They don't like it when animals use human language, putting animals and humans on the same level. The military using the internet. Jasmine flower, because of fears of a revolution. Certain celebrities that support Tibet. And finally, Avatar. Essentially, the ICOs are joining a great list. And of course, we've heard this China bans Bitcoin narrative before, back in January of 2017, when China threatened to ban Bitcoin by offering sensible suggestions to Bitcoin exchanges, and the media continued to spread propaganda. Why China isn't interested in banning Bitcoin, and the importance of regulation. This is the other side to the crackdown story. Maybe it's not a crackdown, maybe it's regulation. What's going on with China and Bitcoin? And finally, China is on track to fully phase out cash. This could be why they're so interested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the cryptocurrency markets. Finally, sometimes China doesn't do the things that they ban. As this article shows, China imports more North Korean coal even after the ban. So who knows what to think when China bans something. Finally, Bitcoin fees are in decline. Segregated witness is starting to work and Bitcoin fees are going down. SegWit transactions are going up. And a Latin American Bitcoin tipping centralized website was hacked, with 28 million user accounts compromised. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. And we're joined by Vays for a check of the current markets. Just ask everybody to give us a thumbs up and a share. How's it going, Tone?
Hey, man. Well, I've had an interesting 48 to 20, probably 24 hours ever since tweeting out that China is taking some responsibility and actually regulating illegal securities out of the space. It's really fascinating how people completely misunderstand what China has announced. Yet, look, it's possible that the translation was wrong. The way I read the translation, I followed the translation, and China banned ICOs. They didn't ban Bitcoin. There's a big difference between ICOs and Bitcoin, and most people still don't understand them. I've been asking everyone who thinks that ICOs are legit and legal to name me their top 5 ICOs that they think are legit. Like maybe 4 people actually did it, and most people are naming things that aren't even ICOs. So as far as I'm concerned, people in the space are clueless. They just hear the word China ban something, and they don't even think, don't use a single brain cell to figure out what they've actually done. But anyway, I'll elaborate more on these things on other longer shows. So here's a look at the Bitcoin scaling, and the original Bitcoin chain is 20% more profitable to mine. It still baffles me why anyone is mining, Bcash, and look, I don't know how many blocks this is, but you have to scroll pretty damn far, and then you hit Antpool, and then you hit BTC top, and then it's back to unknown. So here it is. I mean, you are on the chain that is mined by an unknown. And this is completely insane. As far as segregated witness transactions go, I mean, clearly the blocks are getting bigger. The latest block was 107 megabytes. So you can see that more and more people are clearly using segregated witness. The inflation between Bitcoin and Bcash is about the same. And the Bitcoin mempool is, oh my God, there's like nothing. There's like no Bitcoin transactions waiting to be mined. This is borderline like embarrassing, actually. Is it borderline embarrassing that no one is really using Bitcoin? And trust me, they haven't switched to other coins. The Bitcoin fees are incredibly cheap right now. You can probably send it for free. There are 700 transactions waiting to be mined. You can fit around 2,000 transactions into a block. And there's like no Bitcoin value. There's like $700, 700 Bitcoin waiting to be mined, like worth of transactions. Like this is like literally nothing. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens to the Bitcoin protocol when the bad actors stop spamming the Bitcoin block. It's really amazing. All right, let's talk about the price. Everyone wants to know about the price. All right. Looks good to me. I mean, I don't know. Like if I slept through the last 4 days, I would have said, okay, looks great. We had some weakness last week. This week has just started. We are on Tuesday, so we have 5 more days to go. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this week, closed as another green candle, or if this week went all the way up and challenged last week's high. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. I'm fairly on the weekly chart, tells you not to worry. If the week closes on a red 1, there could be some weakness. But if we break this count to a 9, it's possible we avoid a multi-week sell-off and do one of these where we just get to go higher. So we'll see. It's way too early to tell. Let's let this week develop. On a daily chart, here's what I drew last time. I was looking for 1440 to bounce the price, and it was bouncing the price until the China news came out. I immediately after China news came out, I came out saying this is great news for Bitcoin. It's terrible news if you're a scammer. It's terrible news if you're a profiteer from scams. It's terrible news if you're 17 and you thought you were going to be a millionaire creating ICOs and trading ICOs. If you're a company looking to create securities without regulation and out of thin air, this is bad news for you because the US will probably do the same. China just beat them to it because they have less bureaucracy. Right? What people need to understand is, I think that Bitcoin is morally just. I also think that, but morals aside, right? I also think that Bitcoin is technologically, something, right? It's technologically innovative. I think Bitcoin is legally justified. And I think Bitcoin is morally justified. None of those things hold true for ICOs, at least for me. I think ICOs are technological garbage. I think ICOs are completely illegal based on laws that existed for 10, 20, maybe even 70 years. And I think they're just immoral. So factoring all those things in, I have been telling people that the government will crack down on them. And because the situation got out of control, I was looking forward to the government cracking down on them. So when it finally happens, it's amazing how I'm the scapegoat. So you guys deal with it. I knew this was coming, which is why I never touched a single one of them. And you guys can't make fun of me for not being rich about it. And then at the same time, mad at me for being right as to the end result of the ICOs. Anyway, let's get back to the price. So I was expecting it to bounce from 1440 because it was good support. The news comes out, people that don't understand what the news means panic, and Bitcoin sells off. This news is incredibly bullish for Bitcoin. It's no different than the Chinese government showing up at the Chinese exchanges that temporarily crashed the price, but led to a crackdown of fake Chinese volume. And now we have real volume in China that isn't bullshit, and it set up the price for huge gains because the markets were trusted somewhat. Okay. So I am looking for the price to bounce. How low would it go? I have no idea. I am now removing this arrow from my chart, and I am looking for a bounce in prices. I'm bullish here. Looking at closer, this was a perfect sell time. I said it was a perfect sell time, or at least take your profit time. Some people listened, some people didn't. That's you on you. I mean, I don't trade for you. You guys trade yourself. Um, on the hourly, on the 4-hour chart, I did say yesterday that maybe not publicly. I don't even know. Maybe on Twitter. I don't even know. But this was a nice buy point right off the moving average. Yeah, we went a little lower. Unfortunate. If you were, you could have panicked and sold. You could have got back in. I'm still bullish here. It would be nice to see it get above the moving average. But the 4-hour chart has turned bullish in my opinion. The 1-hour chart gave you a nice buy point here. I thought there was a nice buy point right there, but again, the news out of China scared people, and I still think we're going higher. I'm fairly bullish here, so that's it's pretty much my outlook on the price. There'll be a lot more to discuss as far as this Chinese regulation on ICOs. I think ICOs are despicable. I think ICOs are all scammy. I can name one ICO that is borderline legit, and everything else I think is an outright scam. Now, we can talk about what I think is a scam on probably another show. So back to you.
Now, I saw an interesting comment in the chat. The person said, I got into Bitcoin because I don't like regulation. Now, to me, I got into Bitcoin because I don't like fiat money. I don't like the Federal Reserve, and I think Bitcoin's a better form of money. Is that the same thing as not liking regulation?
No, look. I got into Bitcoin because I wanted, a new type of money. What I did not realize is that this will make people believe that they can create a brand new type of security. And basically, the reason why everyone wants to trade the US stock market is because it's regulated. Like the reason why I will never trade Bitcoin is because it's unregulated and your exchanges are unregulated and there's no professionalism there. Okay. I don't want to put my Bitcoin at risk for Big Vern to steal into China. I have a large US trading account. I don't worry about that money. That money is perfectly safe. I know that when I buy Apple stock, I will profit from Apple stock. I don't worry about my Apple stock disappearing. You guys want an unregulated trading environment. And then you complain when China is using your funds in any way. The Chinese exchanges are using your funds in any way they see fit. You complain about Mt. Gox losing all your money. You complain about Bitfinex losing your money. You complain about, all these exchanges getting hacked and stealing your money. But don't complain about people like Jeff Garza. But don't complain about people like Big Vern. But don't complain about people like Mark Arpellis. If you want an unregulated environment, don't complain to me. When there are people in this space that are kind of famous, you watch their podcasts. I have been on their podcast. Please don't complain to me to expose them as scammers, because you want that. You want these people. You want these people to scam you in an unregulated way. Now, yes, I don't like the fact that the government controls the money. I want there to be competition in money, but I want there to be consumer protection. I want maximum consumer protection without KYC, AML on the consumer. People don't seem to understand that. I think that I don't like the IRS. I think that people should be, I hate money AML laws. I think people should be allowed to do whatever they want with their money. But I think that people that are trying to scam those people should be stopped. That has nothing to do with government infringing on your ability to spend money. This has to do with the government identifying scammers trying to scam the little guy. And if you think that only the rich people get to invest, that's crazy. Rich people lose so much money. Most VCs lose people money. Your fight to let the little guy invest in speculative projects is you trying to steal money from the little guy. It's not the other way around.
Because regulation is okay. Over-regulation is not okay. There's all kinds of scams that you don't know about that you're protected in the market. We just went through Labor Day yesterday, and not a lot of people know this, and a lot of people are going to get upset when I say this, but you may hate unions, but unions brought you the 8-hour work week, the 5-day work week, the weekend, maternity leave. All of these protections were slowly added. And yes, there's an argument we have too many protections. That's a fine argument. But the argument we should have no protections, it should be the wild, wild west, which I believe is a lot of your arguments, is just going to have a lot of victims. We're going to have all these victims. They're going to complain to the SEC, and we're going to get over-regulation as a reaction to all of these victims.
I agree. Look, I'm not a fan of over-regulation, and I'm not a fan of all regulation. But when regulation basically does exactly what I've been screaming about for 2 years. I mean, what am I going to say? I'm going to praise the regulation. If the regulation gets overboard, I will be critical. Okay, it's very difficult to get regulation right. I understand that. And most regulation do come in as good ideas. Like here's an example, right? After the Enron situation, there was this law that's what do you call them? Oh man, what was the Enron law that came in? Forgot that you can get 20 years in federal prison for shredding evidence. I forgot the name of that law. Oh man, Sarbanes-Oxley. There you go, Sarbanes-Oxley. The Sarbanes-Oxley law came in after Enron in order to, heavily penalize CEOs for destroying evidence, like through a shredder and burning like documents, right? And we've had that law in the books for 20 years. That law is being grossly abused. You can look up a case in Florida where some fishermen got pulled over by Coast Guard police. They looked at his boat and they said, hey, we think some of your fish are a little too small and you're breaking regulation on catching, young fish. They counted the fish on his boat and it was 70. They towed in the boat, they recounted the fish and they only counted 67. So they tried to charge him under Sarbanes-Oxley for shredding evidence and tried to put him in jail for 20 years for throwing 3 fish off the boat. Yes, that is an abuse of power. That is overregulation on a law that had absolutely no reason to be applied in that case. This is a problem, but that's a different problem. I mean, you do have to penalize CEOs that are destroying evidence that caused, the Enron situation that almost crashed the entire market and confidence in the financial system. I mean, look, it's a hard battle and it's a problem. We do need better checks on government. But these ICOs were breaking laws from day one, and sooner or later, something was going to be done about it. And the sooner it gets done, the better, because you don't want this to get out of control. And you people are going to be the ones screaming to the government to do something. And then they will do something stupid, like try to ban Bitcoin, which, by the way, will probably also raise its price. See, banning ICOs will crash ICOs because ICOs are centralized security creation. Banning Bitcoin will probably raise the price of Bitcoin. See the difference?
Centralized versus decentralized. But I think this is a great discussion. Seeing a lot of back and forth in the chat. This could probably keep going in the comments down below. Try to keep it civil and try to understand the other person's point of view. Try to put yourself in their shoes. But thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Today in Bitcoin. Until next time, bye-bye.